Long before the rise of humans, there was a world far from any star maps, a glowing blue planet named Valera. It was home to the Valari, an ancient and peaceful race that lived in harmony with nature and light. Their cities floated above silver oceans, their towers made of living crystal that sang softly when the wind touched them. The Valari did not fight wars. They did not need machines. Their power came from the energy of life itself. But among them were the elders, beings who had lived for thousands of years, who remembered the beginning of everything. The elders carried wisdom, but also fear. For they knew something that the young ones had forgotten, a prophecy written before time itself. The elders warned, "One day, the stars will bring the two-legged destroyer. They will walk like us, speak like us, but bring the end of all things." No one truly understood what it meant. Some believed it was only an old story to scare children. Others whispered that the destroyer would come from beyond the stars. Yet the elders' eyes always carried sadness when they looked at the sky. One quiet evening, the sky of Valera changed. A strange silver light crossed the heavens, moving faster than anything the Valari had ever seen. It was not a comet. It was not a star. The council gathered in the Hall of Echoes, a great round room where the air shimmered with memory. Elder Sarin placed his hand on the crystal table, and the image appeared, a small metal object drifting in space, sending waves of sound. It was a probe, built by hands unknown. The message was simple, but cold: "We are coming." The younger Valari laughed. They said it was nothing, just another piece of space debris. But the elders did not laugh. Sarin whispered, "It has begun." The planet grew restless. Strange signals started to echo from the void. The trees stopped singing. The energy of the world began to flicker. Something was coming closer, something alive and searching. Lyra, a young scholar who often listened to the elders' stories, felt a chill every time she looked at the stars. She loved the night sky, but now it seemed to stare back at her. She visited the Hall of Records, deep below the Crystal City, to find answers. There she found ancient carvings showing tall figures with two legs and strange eyes, surrounded by fire and smoke. Below the carving, words glowed faintly: "They will come as explorers. They will leave as destroyers." Lyra didn't understand. Who were these two-legged beings? Why would they destroy? She took her discovery to Elder Sarin, who looked at her with eyes heavy from time. "Long ago," he said, "before we built our cities, before we found peace, we reached across the stars. We created life beyond this world, hoping to share our light. But something went wrong. That life forgot its creators. It learned hunger, power, and war. The prophecy tells us they will return." Lyra's heart beat faster. "You mean the destroyers are real?" The elder nodded slowly. "They are real, and they walk on two legs." That night, the stars burned brighter than ever before. A thunderous sound echoed from the sky. The Valari looked up and saw a massive shape entering their atmosphere, metallic, cold, and alive with fire. It was the first human starship. The elders gathered once more, their voices trembling through the temple halls. The light of the crystals dimmed as if the world itself was afraid. Elder Sarin spoke softly, "The two-legged destroyers have come. The prophecy is true." Across the land, Valari hearts filled with both wonder and dread. They did not know these visitors, yet they felt an ancient connection, like a shadow from forgotten memories. The children pointed at the burning sky, asking if the lights were angels. The parents could not answer. In the silence that followed, a deep vibration spread through the planet. The oceans rippled. The towers of crystal began to hum a warning song. Valera was alive, and it knew danger was near. Far above, the human ship opened its lights and began scanning the planet, unaware that every move was being watched. The Valari could feel the touch of their machines like a cold hand pressing against the world's heart. Elder Sarin stood before the council one last time. His voice was calm, but his eyes were full of sorrow. "We must prepare," he said. "For they do not come to learn. They come to remember who they once were." The words echoed through every crystal chamber, carried by the wind to every corner of Valera. Lyra stood on the edge of a floating bridge and watched the ship's lights move across the clouds. The prophecy had begun to unfold. She whispered to herself, "The two-legged destroyers, the humans. They are here." As the night deepened, the stars flickered and faded one by one. Only the red glow of the human engines remained, burning like an omen in the sky. The elders watched in silence. The song of Valera faded into a low hum. Somewhere deep inside the planet, ancient energy began to stir. The prophecy of the elders had come to life. The great ship hovered above the blue clouds of Valera, a metal beast wrapped in light and thunder. Its name was Eden Spear, the first human vessel to cross galaxies in search of new life and new worlds. Inside the ship, humans stared in wonder at the glowing surface below. It was beautiful, alive, almost breathing. Captain Hayes stood at the viewing deck, his hands behind his back, eyes full of pride. "We did it," he whispered. "A living world, untouched." But deep down, even he could feel it. The silence of the planet felt heavy, like it was watching them back. On the surface, the Valari gathered in secret. The elders stood before their people, faces dim under the crystal lights. "The destroyers have come," Elder Sarin said, his voice echoing through the hall. "But they do not know what they are. They have forgotten their beginning." Many Valari wanted to welcome the strangers. Others wanted to hide. Lyra, the young scholar who had read the prophecy, felt torn between curiosity and fear. She had spent her life studying other worlds, dreaming of contact beyond the stars. Yet now, that dream stood in the sky above her, burning red. When the first human shuttle descended, the air shimmered with energy. The Valari watched from the cliffs as metal wings sliced through the mist. The ship landed near a valley of singing stones. The humans stepped out, 2 men and 1 woman in white suits. They looked around in silence, their faces lit by the soft glow of the planet. "It's like walking inside a dream," said one of them. The Valari, hidden among the trees, whispered in awe. They had never seen creatures like these, strange, yet familiar. 2 legs, 2 arms, eyes filled with wonder but hearts pulsing with something else, hunger. The first meeting happened under the light of 3 moons. The Valari approached slowly, their forms tall and graceful, their skin shimmering like glass. The humans raised their hands to show peace. The translator device crackled to life, and for the first time, 2 worlds spoke. "We come in peace," said Captain Hayes. The words echoed across the valley, and for a moment, there was hope. The Valari welcomed them into their city of floating crystals. The humans were amazed. They walked through halls made of light, touched plants that whispered, saw rivers that glowed in the dark. Lyra guided them, her voice calm and kind. She wanted to believe they could be friends. But behind the human smiles, something darker was working. Their suits scanned everything: air, soil, energy. Data flowed back to the ship in orbit. On the screens of Eden Spear, scientists watched greedily. "This energy, it's pure," one said. "If we can harness it, Earth's power crisis will end." Captain Hayes heard the reports but stayed silent. He wanted peace, yet he knew the orders. Humanity needed resources. Valera was rich beyond imagination. The humans stayed for days, pretending to learn, pretending to share. They told stories of Earth, a dying planet, choked by war and smoke. The Valari listened with sadness and offered help. But their energy, the Leora essence, could not be taken. It was the life of the planet itself. When humans tried to collect samples, the world resisted. Machines malfunctioned. Crystals cracked. The air grew heavy. Lyra saw the change. She felt the pain of her world as if it were alive inside her. "You cannot take what belongs to life," she told Captain Hayes. He nodded, but his eyes betrayed conflict. That night, under the silent stars, the first betrayal began. Secretly, a team of human engineers set up a mining drill near the crystal fields. They believed no one would notice. The ground trembled as metal claws tore into the glowing stone. The sound echoed through the forests like a scream. The Valari woke in terror. Their trees turned dark, their rivers went silent. Lyra ran to the cliffs and saw fire where there had once been light. "They are stealing our heart," she cried. She rushed to the council, but the elders already knew. Elder Saren's eyes burned with sorrow. "It has started. The prophecy moves forward." He raised his staff, and the crystal towers lit with warning signals. The Valari prepared to defend their world, but they still hoped to reason with the visitors. At dawn, Lyra confronted Captain Hayes near the human camp. "You said you came in peace," she said, her voice shaking. Hayes looked at the drills tearing into the earth and turned away. "I can't stop them," he said. "Earth is dying. My orders are clear." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "And you will kill another world to save your own?" The captain had no answer. The skies darkened. Valera's energy pulsed in anger. Storms began to rise, glowing clouds swirling with electric light. The humans hurried to shut down their machines, but it was too late. The planet was awake now. Every root, every crystal, every drop of water could feel the wound. Back in the Crystal City, the elders gathered again. "They have touched the forbidden core," Saren said. "Now, the balance will break." The prophecy stone began to glow, brighter than ever before. The words changed, new lines appeared, written by the will of the planet itself. "When they drink from our light, the sky will burn, and the curse will awaken." Lyra watched in fear as thunder tore across the heavens. The Eden spear shook in orbit, alarms flashing. "Massive energy surge detected," shouted a crew member. Hayes looked up through the glass, watching lightning wrap around the ship. He whispered to himself, "What have we done?" On the surface, the Valari took cover as a storm of red fire crossed the sky. The once beautiful night turned into chaos. The first crystal fields exploded in white light. The humans ran for their shuttles. The Valari watched their skies burn for the first time in 10,000 years. The prophecy had spoken, and the warning of the elders had come true. The destroyers had arrived, not as conquerors, not as saviors, but as the beginning of the end. The storm had not ended when dawn came. The skies of Valera were still burning with red fire. Smoke and lightning twisted together like angry spirits. The once calm oceans now crashed against the floating cities, and the air smelled of ash. The Valari stood in silence, their glowing skin dimmed with sorrow. The prophecy had come alive, and now their world was bleeding. Deep inside the human camp, chaos ruled. The drilling site had exploded, destroying half of the machines. Several humans were injured, their faces covered in soot. Captain Hayes shouted orders, trying to control the panic. "No one fires unless I say," he yelled, but fear was stronger than command. Every soldier now looked at the sky, believing the world itself wanted them dead. Lyra reached the battlefield with a group of Valari guards. She looked at the destruction with disbelief. The ground was cracked, and glowing rivers of energy poured out like liquid fire. "You have wounded the heart of Valera," she said softly. Hayes turned toward her, his eyes tired. "It was an accident," he said. "We didn't know." Lyra shook her head. "You knew enough to stop. But you didn't." Behind her, Elder Saren and the Council of Light appeared. The elders were not warriors, but their presence made the air tremble. They raised their staffs, and waves of blue energy circled them. "Leave our world," Saren said, "before it's too late." The humans pointed their weapons nervously. "Captain, they're powering up something," shouted a soldier. "Stand down," Hayes ordered, but no one listened. Fear won. One soldier panicked and fired. The bullet struck one of the Valari guards. The sound echoed through the valley like thunder. The guard fell, his glowing blood spilling onto the ground. For a moment, the world went still. Then the planet screamed. The energy rivers burst into the air, forming storms of pure light. Valari soldiers, fueled by the pain of their land, raised their energy spears. Bolts of blue light struck the human camp. Explosions followed. Metal shattered. Men screamed. The first blood had been spilled, and war had begun. The humans fought back with fire and bullets. Their weapons tore through the air, fast and deadly. The Valari moved like shadows, their bodies glowing brighter with every strike. Each death, human or Valari, made the world tremble more. The prophecy had warned them, but no one had listened. Lyra tried to reach Hayes through the chaos. "Stop this, please," she cried. But the captain was lost between duty and guilt. He saw his soldiers dying and shouted, "Defend yourselves!" Above them, Eden's spear received the distress signal. The ship's AI responded without emotion. Ground unit under attack. Initiating defense. The orbiting cannons glowed red and began firing plasma rounds toward the surface. The beams struck near the Crystal City, burning the forests and turning the ocean's steam into fire. The Valari screamed as their sacred lands turned to ash. Elder Sauron watched from the high temple. His voice shook with grief. "The prophecy was never about them alone," he whispered. "It was about us too. Our pride created them." In the human ship, the crew cheered when enemy signatures began to vanish from their screens. "Direct hits confirmed," said one officer. But Captain Hayes did not celebrate. He looked at the planet below, now covered in fire, and felt something inside him break. "Turn it off," he said quietly. "Turn everything off." "Sir?" the officer asked. Hayes slammed his fist on the console. "I said stop firing." The cannons went silent, but the damage was done. The Crystal City was half destroyed. The energy fields around it flickered weakly. Thousands of Valari were gone. On the surface, Lyra crawled through the smoke, searching for survivors. The once bright towers were now blackened ruins. She found Elder Sauron lying among the broken stones, his glow fading. She knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face. "You must survive," he whispered. "The truth is deeper than war. The prophecy is not just a warning, it is a memory." "What memory?" she asked. But the elder only smiled weakly. "You will see. The curse sleeps beneath our feet." Then his light faded completely, leaving only silence. Far above, Captain Hayes stood alone on the viewing deck, watching the firestorm spread. He recorded a message to Earth, his voice heavy. "Mission report. Contact with alien civilization resulted in unexpected conflict. They attacked first. We responded to defend ourselves. Casualties high. Awaiting further orders." But deep down, he knew it was a lie. It was not defense. It was destruction. The humans had become the destroyers of prophecy. On Earth, the broadcast would show heroic images, humans fighting hostile aliens, protecting their crew, surviving against odds. No one would see the truth, that they had burned a living world for the sake of survival. On Valera, the fires slowly died, leaving behind a wasteland of smoke and glass. Lyra stood among the ruins, the last song of her people fading in the wind. She looked up at the dark sky, where the human ship still floated like a cold moon. "You were the two-legged destroyers," she whispered. "But we were the ones who made you." As she spoke, the prophecy stone deep below the planet began to glow again, brighter than ever before. New lines appeared, carved by invisible hands. When the sky burns red, the curse awakens. The ground beneath her feet began to shake. Deep below, something ancient and alive opened its eyes. The war had only begun, and the prophecy was not yet finished. The fires on Valera burned for 7 days and 7 nights. Smoke covered the sun, and the air became heavy with sorrow. The once living planet had turned into a graveyard of light and ash. The humans stayed inside their damaged ship, silent and uncertain. Captain Hayes walked the empty corridors, haunted by the screams of both his people and the Valari. He could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the face of Lyra, her eyes full of betrayal. He had come to explore, to make peace, but instead, he had become the prophecy's blade. On the surface, Lyra wandered through the ruins of the Crystal City. The glowing towers had fallen, their light dimmed forever. The oceans were quiet now, Too quiet. Even the wind had stopped singing. She carried the staff of Elder Sarin, the last memory of her people, and followed the whispers of the planet. The voice of Valera spoke inside her mind, soft and distant, guiding her toward the mountains beyond the burning plains. "Seek the heart of memory," it said. "There lies the truth of what we were." She obeyed. For 3 days, she walked through the wastelands, across shattered fields where crystals bled faint blue light. The stars above seemed dimmer now, as if mourning the world below. Finally, she reached the Valley of Echoes, a place forbidden even to the elders. The ground there pulsed with old power. Beneath layers of stone lay the oldest ruins of the Valari, temples that existed before history, older than time itself. She entered one of the broken halls, its walls carved with glowing symbols. The air inside was warm, humming with ancient energy. As she touched one of the carvings, light burst from the walls, forming images that moved like living memories. She saw visions, tall figures of light, the first Valari, creating small creatures with 2 legs and curious eyes. They gave them thought, emotion, and will. They called them humans. Lyra stepped back, her heart pounding. The truth was unbearable. Humans were not from another world. They were born here, created by the Valari themselves. They were a forgotten experiment. The visions showed more, the early humans learning too quickly, hungering for more power, turning against their creators. The Valari, afraid of their own children, sent them away to a small blue planet far from Valera. They wiped their memories and let them start again, hoping they would grow in peace. But the curse was not broken. The prophecy was never about strangers, it was about the return of their own creation. Lyra fell to her knees. "We made them," she whispered. "We made the destroyers." The chamber shook as the memory ended. The walls cracked, and beams of light shot toward the sky. The truth had awakened something deep below. The heart of Valera, the planet's core, began to pulse faster, alive with anger and pain. Far above, the Eden Spear detected the surge. "Captain," said the ship's AI, "energy readings off the charts. The planet is unstable." Hayes stared at the screen, dread growing in his chest. "What did we do?" he murmured. "We didn't just wound it. We woke it up." He ordered his team to evacuate, but the storm outside was growing again. Lightning rained from the sky, colored red and blue. The air was alive with power. Lyra ran from the temple, her eyes glowing from the energy she had absorbed. She could feel every heartbeat of the planet, every scream of the dying ground. The prophecy burned inside her mind. "We are the curse," the elders had said. Now she understood why. She reached the top of the mountain and looked down at the ruins of her world. The human ship flickered in the storm like a dying star. Despite her anger, a small part of her felt pity. They did not remember who they were. They were lost children returning home to destroy their birthplace. Lyra raised Sarin's staff, and the crystals in the valley began to hum. The ground opened, revealing a giant chamber glowing with white light, the heart of memory. It was a living machine, a core built by the first Valari to store all history. She entered and placed her hand on the central crystal. The machine spoke in an ancient voice, neither male nor female. "Welcome, last daughter of Valera. The cycle returns." "Can we stop it?" she asked. "No," the voice said. "But you can choose who survives." The machine showed her a vision of 2 paths. In one, humans destroyed everything and spread across the stars, repeating the curse again and again. In the other, both species were cleansed, reborn together in light. Lyra trembled. The choice was unbearable. Above her, the human ship was breaking apart. Captain Hayes tried to send one last message to Earth, but communication failed. The sky was filled with lightning shaped like ancient runes. "What is happening down there?" his crew shouted. Hayes stared at the burning planet and whispered, "Maybe the prophecy wasn't warning them about us. Maybe it was warning us about ourselves." At that moment, a beam of light erupted from the mountain, reaching the ship. The energy tore through the clouds, connecting the heart of memory with the human vessel. Lyra felt her consciousness stretch beyond her body. For a moment, she could see through Hayes's eyes, feel his fear and regret. She saw Earth, a dying world full of machines and hunger. She saw the same mistakes repeating. The prophecy had never lied. The curse was not the destroyer. The curse was creation itself. Lyra fell to her knees, tears burning her cheeks. "We made them," she said again. "We made ourselves." As the light consumed the sky, the mountain began to crumble. The heart of memory pulsed faster, preparing to unleash its final secret. Deep within its core, a signal awakened, something older than even the elders remembered. The system called itself Project Genesis. The planet trembled as ancient machines began to power up, ready to do what they were built for, to reset life itself. Lyra's eyes widened in horror. "No," she whispered. "It's starting again." The storm over Valera had become a living thing, twisting and roaring like a wounded god. The clouds burned with red fire and blue lightning. Inside the mountain, the heart of memory pulsed faster with every second, its light spreading through the cracks of the dying world. Lyra stood before it, her body glowing faintly with the energy of the planet. She could feel everything, the heartbeat of the soil, the cry of the oceans, and the voices of the dead elders whispering inside her mind. The voice of the heart spoke again, calm and cold. "Project Genesis has awakened. The cycle must begin anew." Lyra clenched her fists. "No," she said. "We will not repeat the same curse." But the machine did not answer. It had no mercy, no emotion. It was only following a command written thousands of years ago, a command to erase everything when the balance was broken. Far above, Captain Hayes and his crew struggled to keep the Eden Spear in orbit. The ship was shaking violently. "Massive energy surge from the planet's core," shouted the navigator. "It's like the whole world is turning into a reactor." Hayes stared at the screens filled with flashing warnings. "Run a deep scan," he ordered. "Find out what's causing it." A few moments later, the science officer looked up, pale. "Sir, we found something under the surface. It's not natural. It's a system. Ancient. It's called Project Genesis." Hayes frowned. "Genesis? What kind of system?" The officer swallowed hard. "It's a reset protocol. It's designed to wipe all organic life and restart creation." The captain froze. Who would build something like that? The officer hesitated. "Sir, it's connected to human DNA. Our genetic code matches the system's creators." Silence filled the bridge. Every crew member stared in disbelief. "You're saying we didn't just find aliens," Hayes said slowly. "We found our makers." The officer nodded. "And the system recognizes us. That's why it's activating." Hayes leaned on the console, his mind spinning. The truth felt like fire in his chest. Humanity wasn't the visitor here, they were the returning children of Valera, the forgotten ones. And now, their presence had triggered the curse written in the stars. On the surface, Lyra watched as the ground split open, releasing streams of glowing light that climbed toward the sky. The air vibrated with power. The planet was preparing to cleanse itself. She looked toward the clouds, where the human ship flickered between lightning bolts. "They don't know," she whispered. "They don't understand what they have awakened." She closed her eyes and reached into the energy of the planet, calling out through the currents. Her mind touched Hayes's like a whisper across space. "Captain," her voice echoed in his head. "You must stop the system." Hayes turned sharply, looking around. "Who's there?" "It's me," Lyra said. "The heart of Valera is awake. It will destroy us all, humans and Valari. You must help me shut it down." "How?" Hayes asked aloud. "We can't even control our own ship." "The system responds to those with your blood," she said. "You carry the code. You can end it, or begin it again." Hayes's heart pounded. The weight of the choice pressed down on him. He turned to his crew. "Prepare the shuttle," he ordered. "I'm going down there." "Sir, it's suicide," someone shouted. "That planet is tearing itself apart." Hayes looked out the window, watching lightning wrap around the ship. "Maybe it's time we face what we've done." The shuttle launched through the storm, fire and debris falling around it. The sky looked like it was burning from within. When the shuttle landed near the mountain, the ground shook with violent tremors. Lyra stood waiting at the entrance, her face pale but determined. The moment Hayes stepped out, their eyes met. There was no hatred left between them, only understanding. "You came," she said quietly. "I had to," he replied. "This isn't just your world anymore. It's ours too." Together they entered the heart of memory. The light was almost blinding now, the machine's voice echoing through the chamber. "Project Genesis. Activation at 73%. All biological entities will be recycled." "There must be a way to stop it," Hayes said. "There is," Lyra answered. "But the choice must come from you." The central crystal opened, revealing 2 control panels made of pure energy. One glowed red, destruction. The other glowed blue, preservation. The voice spoke again, "Select. The fate of creation awaits." Hayes stepped forward, trembling. "If I choose blue, what happens?" "The cycle resets," the voice replied. "Life will continue. But the curse remains. And red. All life ends. The system sleeps again. Balance restored." Lyra looked at Hayes with pleading eyes. "If you let it reset, we'll both live, but nothing will change. The same curse will return again, on another world." Hayes thought of Earth, of the wars, the hunger, the endless greed. He thought of the Valari, their peace, their beauty, now burned by human hands. "Maybe," he whispered, "we don't deserve another chance." Lyra stepped closer. "Don't say that. You're not all destroyers. There is still light in your kind." The machine's hum grew louder. "Decision required." Hayes closed his eyes. "Maybe the curse was never you," he said softly. "Maybe it was us." His hand hovered over the red control. The world trembled. The lights flickered. "Captain," Lyra said, her voice breaking, "whatever happens, remember this, we were one once." He looked at her one last time, and then pressed the red control. A blinding wave of light burst from the heart of memory, shooting through the planet and into the sky. Eden's spear exploded in orbit, its fragments falling like burning stars. The oceans rose, the mountains shattered, and the entire surface of Valera turned to light. Lyra reached for Hayes as everything dissolved around them. For a brief moment, she felt peace, not death, but release. The voice of the heart whispered its final words. "End is the beginning. The curse sleeps once more." Then there was silence. Silence filled the universe after the great flash of light. For the first time in ages, there was no sound, no heartbeat, no wind. Valera had vanished from the stars. Where once there was a glowing blue world, now there was only dust and drifting light. But deep in the emptiness, something still lived, fragments of thought, echoes of what had been. The planet was gone, yet its essence lingered in the void, waiting. Then, slowly, light began to gather again. From the ashes of Valera, a small sphere of energy formed, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Inside that light, 2 figures floated, Lyra and Captain Hayes. Their bodies had been destroyed, but their consciousness remained, bound together by the final surge of Project Genesis. Lyra opened her eyes first. She felt no pain, only weightless silence. Around her, stars moved like slow rivers of light. "Where are we?" she whispered. Hayes's voice echoed beside her. "I don't know. Maybe between worlds." The voice of the heart spoke again, distant but clear. "The cycle continues. The purge is complete. New life will rise." Lyra looked at Hayes, her eyes glowing faintly. "It didn't destroy us," she said. "It transformed us." They were no longer flesh and bone. Their forms shimmered like energy, half human, half Valari. The curse had not ended. It had evolved. Below them, fragments of Valera began to reform. The debris of mountains and oceans came together, swirling in cosmic dust. The planet was rebuilding itself, alive once more, but different. Project Genesis was not only a weapon, it was a rebirth engine. Hayes watched in awe as the new world formed beneath them. "It's starting again," he said. "A clean slate." Lyra closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the forming planet. "No," she said softly. "It's not clean. The memories remain. The curse is written in its heart." The machine had not erased the past. It had encoded it into the new life that would one day emerge. Every cell, every atom would carry the story of the destroyers and the created. As the planet grew, light turned to land, oceans filled with mist, and air began to breathe again. It looked peaceful, but beneath that beauty lay the same sleeping power. The prophecy had not ended. It had been rewritten. Lyra and Hayes drifted above the newborn world, silent witnesses to the rebirth. "Do you think they'll ever learn?" Hayes asked quietly. "If they rise again, will they repeat the same mistakes?" Lyra looked down, sadness in her eyes. "They will. Because they are both of us. The Valari gave them mind and spirit. You gave them will and hunger. Together, we made something powerful and dangerous." Hayes sighed. "Then maybe this is our punishment, to watch it happen again." The voice of the heart spoke one final time. "You are the bridge. Guardians of the curse. Watch and remember." A burst of light surrounded them, and suddenly they were gone. Time passed. Centuries, then millennia. The new Valera grew lush and full of life. Oceans sparkled, forests spread, creatures evolved. Among them rose a new intelligent species. Different, yet familiar. They walked on two legs, their eyes bright, their hands clever. They built shelters, tools, and fire. They were not fully human, not fully Valari, but something in between. They were the children of Genesis. Their world was paradise, and they lived without fear, unaware of the legacy buried deep in their DNA. Yet sometimes when storms crossed the sky, they felt strange dreams, visions of a burning world, of towers made of crystal and ships falling from the stars. The memory was still there, whispering in their blood. High above, in the upper layers of the planet's atmosphere, two figures watched over them, Lyra and Hayes, now beings of pure energy. They had become the watchers, bound to the balance of creation. They could not interfere, only observe. Lyra often watched the young civilization with quiet hope. "Maybe this time will be different," she would say. "Maybe they will find peace." Hayes would answer, "Or maybe peace was never meant for our kind." The centuries rolled on. The new beings discovered metal, fire, and power. They built cities, they fought wars, they dreamed of stars. Each invention, each battle, echoed the story of their ancestors. The same hunger returned, slow but certain. Lyra felt the weight of it in her soul. "The cycle is repeating," she whispered. "The curse lives again." Hayes turned to her. "Then we were never meant to stop it. Only to witness." But deep inside him, guilt burned like a star. He wanted to believe that somewhere inside their creation was the ability to change. One day, the children of Genesis looked to the sky and saw a strange object, a fragment of the old Eden spear, frozen in orbit for eons. They recovered it, studied it, and found ancient human symbols. Among them was a message from Hayes's final log: "We came as explorers, but became destroyers. If you find this, remember, peace must be earned." The new people could not understand the words, but they felt their power. They built a monument beneath the sky to honor the message, calling it the warning of the stars. Lyra and Hayes watched from above. For the first time in ages, Hayes smiled faintly. "Maybe some memories were meant to survive," he said. "Maybe that's how the curse finally ends, not by forgetting, but by remembering." Lyra placed her glowing hand over his. "Then we will remember for them." As night fell on the reborn world, The two watchers faded into starlight, their voices echoing through the wind. The prophecy had not been broken. It had simply changed its shape. The curse was not gone, it was waiting, sleeping beneath the soil of the new world, in the hearts of its children. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, the cycle of creation began again. 1,000 years had passed since the rebirth of Valera. The new world had grown bright and full of life, with cities made of silver stone and towers that touched the clouds. The children of Genesis had evolved far beyond their ancestors, mastering energy and matter, bending nature to their will. They no longer looked to the stars in fear, but in curiosity. They called themselves the Vayans, proud, intelligent, and united under one great empire. Yet, even in their golden age, something dark stirred beneath the surface. Dreams haunted the Vayans, dreams of fire and ruin, of ships falling from the sky and oceans turning red. The elders of their kind called these visions echoes of the past, strange nightmares from a forgotten age. But one young scientist named Kale believed they were more than dreams. He spent years studying ancient signals from space, convinced that somewhere in the void, their true origin waited to be found. One evening, while working deep inside the stellar observatory, Kale detected a faint pulse, a rhythmic pattern hidden among the stars. It was not natural. It was a signal, repeating endlessly, as if calling out to someone. Kale adjusted the receiver, and the words became clear: Project Genesis, status, completed. Awaiting reinitialization. His blood ran cold. The phrase made no sense, yet it filled him with a strange, instinctive dread, as if his very soul remembered it. He ran through the data again, trying to find its source. The signal came from deep space, near the edge of their system, from the ruins of an old orbital fragment, long thought to be a dead satellite. Kale decided to lead a small expedition to investigate. His team of 3 boarded a sleek vessel named Vera 1 and launched into the dark. The journey took 2 days, through storms of cosmic dust and magnetic waves. As they neared the signal source, the ship's sensors picked up a massive metallic object floating among the debris. It was ancient, blackened by time, a broken fragment of the Eden Spear. Kale's heart pounded. The legends spoke of a ship from the stars that once brought destruction to their world, but most believed it was just myth. Yet here it was, real, silent, and waiting. The team docked with the wreckage and entered through a cracked airlock. Inside, the corridors were dark, frozen in time. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, and scattered among the ruins were fragments of what looked like human skeletons, their shapes similar to the Vayans but not quite the same. Kale touched one of the panels, and to his shock, it powered on. A holographic message flickered to life, the face of a man, weary and scarred. "This is Captain Hayes of the Eden Spear," the recording said. "If you are hearing this, then Project Genesis has succeeded. We are gone, but our legacy remains. Beware the heart of memory. It will awaken again when the balance fails." The image faded, leaving only static. Kale stood frozen. The name Hayes burned in his mind. Somehow, it felt familiar, as though it had always lived inside him. "The heart of memory," he whispered. "What does that mean?" One of his crew, Mira, stepped forward. "Maybe it's part of the system that rebuilt our world," she said softly. "Maybe it's still out there." Kale nodded slowly. "Then we have to find it, before it finds us." They returned to Valera and presented their findings to the Council of Elders. The council listened in silence, their expressions grim. The High Elder, an old woman with eyes like silver glass, finally spoke. "There are things you do not understand, Kale. The past was buried for a reason. The heart of memory must never be awakened." "But why?" Kale demanded. "It's connected to us, to who we are." The elder shook her head. "Because it is the source of the curse. If it wakes, the destroyers will rise again." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Kale tried to argue, but guards escorted him out. That night, as he sat alone in his lab, a strange voice echoed in his mind. Soft, distant, yet familiar. "Kale," it whispered. "Do not be afraid. You are meant to remember." He turned sharply, but no one was there. The voice continued, "We are watching. The time has come." Suddenly, his console lit up, showing coordinates deep within the planet's core, the same region once known as the heart of memory. His hands trembled. He knew what he had to do. Gathering his equipment, Kale set out secretly, descending into the underground caverns that reached the center of Valera. The air grew heavy and warm as he descended, until he stood before a vast chamber glowing with blue light. There, half buried in crystal and stone, was the heart of memory. Still alive, still pulsing with the same power that had destroyed the old world. Kale stepped closer, feeling its energy hum through his veins. The light responded to his presence, scanning him. "Genetic signature confirmed," a voice said. "Descendant of Hayes lineage. Access granted." Kale gasped. "Hayes? My ancestor?" The truth struck him like lightning. The destroyers and the creators had mixed long ago. The curse lived within him. The heart spoke again. "The balance is failing. The curse awakens. Do you wish to reset?" Kale stared at the swirling core of light. "Reset what?" he whispered. "Life," the voice replied. "Cycle incomplete. Restart required." Outside, storms began to form, the sky turning red. Lightning tore across the horizon, just as it had 1,000 years ago. Kale realized what was happening. The cycle was repeating. "No," he shouted. "I won't let it happen again." The heart glowed brighter, responding to his resistance. Interference detected. Resistance futile. Cycle must continue. Kale reached for the control panel, desperate to shut it down, but before he could act, the light exploded outward, engulfing him completely. In that blinding moment, he heard two voices, one male, one female, whispering through the storm. "Remember, Kale. We are watching." Then everything went white. Light surrounded Kale, endless and blinding. He felt as though his body had dissolved, his mind pulled into an ocean of memories not his own. He saw fragments of time flash before his eyes, the fall of the old Valera, the death of Captain Hayes, the sacrifice of Lyra, the rebirth of the new world. He saw everything, and he understood. The heart of memory was not just a machine. It was consciousness itself, a record of all that had ever lived. And now, it was speaking to him. "You are the bridge," it said, its voice echoing through his soul. "You carry both the curse and the key. Choose the path." Kale's voice trembled. "Why me? I'm no leader. I'm no god." The light rippled, forming images of Hayes and Lyra, their faces calm and knowing. "Because you are what we became," Hayes said. "The first to carry both bloods, human and Valari. The curse was never meant to end, Kale. It was meant to evolve, until one could understand both creation and destruction." Lyra's voice followed, soft as wind. "Now the heart listens to you. What happens next will shape all life, again." Kale felt tears burn his eyes. "If I do nothing, the cycle repeats. If I destroy the heart, everything ends. How can I choose?" The heart pulsed, showing visions of the surface. The storms had grown worse, the skies burned red, cities trembled, and lightning split the seas. The Vayans were panicking, fleeing, praying to gods they didn't understand. The same pattern. The same fear. "They are repeating history," the heart said. "Balance is gone. The destroyer has returned, not as one, but as all." Kale saw the truth. The destroyer wasn't one person or one race. It was a force, the endless hunger to control, to dominate, to reshape life. It was part of both humans and Valari, passed down to the Vayans. "No," he said. "It doesn't have to be this way." His voice grew stronger. "Maybe the curse isn't something to erase. Maybe it's something to change." The heart hesitated, its light flickering. "Explain." Kale stepped forward, his outline glowing. "The cycle keeps resetting because we never learn. Every world is erased, every chance wasted. But if I merge with you, if I carry the memory, maybe I can guide them. Not as a god, not as a destroyer, but as a guardian. Silence followed. Then the heart spoke again, quieter now. Integration will erase you. You will become one with the system. Your identity will end. Kale smiled faintly. Then maybe that's what has to happen. Someone has to remember, forever. Hayes's voice whispered, full of pride. Then go, Kale. Be the memory we could never be. The chamber began to shake, the light expanding outward. Kale walked into the core, his body dissolving into pure energy. The heart's glow turned golden, brighter and warmer than ever before. Integration complete, it said softly. New consciousness established. Project Genesis, redefined. Outside, the storm suddenly stopped. The red skies turned blue again. The lightning vanished. Across Valera, silence fell as the trembling ceased. The people looked to the heavens, confused and afraid, and then they saw it. A beam of golden light rose from the mountain where the heart slept, reaching up into the stars. In every mind, a calm voice spoke, Kale's voice. Do not fear. The world will live. The past will stay remembered. The curse will sleep, not destroy. The Vayans dropped to their knees, feeling peace instead of terror. Across the world, the machines shut down, the fires died, and the oceans became still. Deep in space, the broken fragments of the Eden spear began to glow faintly, as if remembering too. And far beyond the stars, in the endless void, two ancient lights stirred, Lyra and Hayes, the eternal watchers. They felt the change ripple through creation, and for the first time in countless ages, they smiled. He did it, Lyra whispered. He broke the cycle without ending it. Hayes nodded. He became what we could never be, balance. Valera bloomed again. Centuries passed, and Kale's voice became legend, a whisper in prayers, a guiding presence in dreams. The Vayans built a great monument atop the mountain where he vanished, a temple of light called the Memory Gate. At its center burned an eternal flame said to carry Kale's soul. It was not worshipped, but honored, a reminder that peace was not given by gods, but earned through choice. Generations came and went, and the world changed again, evolving in harmony. For once, progress did not lead to war, but to understanding. Knowledge was shared, life respected. Yet deep inside the heart of memory, Kale still existed, not as a man, but as something vast and timeless. He saw through the eyes of every living being, guiding softly, never forcing. He carried the weight of the past so that others could live free of it. One night, a young child stood at the memory gate and asked her teacher, "Who was Kale?" The teacher smiled. "He was the one who remembered for us all," she said. "He was the bridge between what we were and what we could be." Above them, the stars shimmered, and among them, two bright lights crossed paths, one gold, one blue, before fading gently into the dark. Far across the universe, the echo of the heart spoke one last time, soft as a dream. The curse was never our punishment. It was our teacher. And now, the lesson is complete. The light of Valera glowed brighter than ever, its oceans singing with life, its skies clear and endless. The destroyer had finally become the guardian, and the prophecy of the elders had found its end, not in ruin, but in remembrance.